So you know what I sent my friend Marc Trestman? I go, Mark, they want to go to a West Coast offense. You know what Mark told me? There's no West Coast offense. And I go, wait a minute here. I played against Bill Walsh's West. He goes, no. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to have a guy who's been a coordinator in the NFL, I believe, at least 6 times. He's a former NFL head coach. By the way, the reason he couldn't come on yesterday because he's a professor of law at the University of Miami. So without further ado, we bring in our friend, Marc Trestman. He's not only a friend, he's a dear friend of mine, to give us a little bit of education here on it. How you doing, friend? How's it going, man? How's that class teaching law at UN going?
Well, I'm not teaching law. I'm teaching leadership, or trying to, but I'm learning more from our students than I think that they're learning from me, Dan. It's good to be with you.
You bet. Mark, I want you to help me out here on something, because everyone this last week, because they're going to go from a different offense, and because you've built offenses for quarterbacks. So let me start from the beginning, and let me start from the infancy of how you build an offense. When you're making a transition from one style of play, like the Eagles have been doing for the last couple of years, the reports are, and especially with the hires that they've made, they want to go to a more spread offense. How difficult is that, and what does it need to be taken by the new OC? Sean Mannion has been hired. They're bringing a very relatively young guy down. What is, and how do you start that process?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if you talk to Bill Walsh, he would tell you that he didn't create the name West Coast offense. Somebody else did. It's a perception and really not a reality, but that's what they called it when he was coaching in San Francisco in the late 80s, and they won the Super Bowls and so forth. And he brought offenses in from Coach Brown with Cincinnati, and a lot of the great coaches in that period of time. And he put together an offense that he thought best suited his quarterback, which was to play under center, to have a really good running game, play action and movement game, and used the drop back passing game, as a part of really the dance of the quarterback, 3, 5, and 7 step drops. And that's all over the years. That went to Mike Holmgren, and Mike Holmgren took on the offense, and then he won a Super Bowl, went to Seattle and so forth. It turned it over to Mike Shanahan, and Mike put his own spin on it in San Francisco. And then I came in there and really learned the West Coast offense, or Bill Walsh's offense, by watching, literally sitting in a hotel room for my first month with the 49ers, just to give you a little background, and watch tape of Bill Walsh, Mike Holmgren, and Mike Shanahan installing the offense at that time. And then Mike moved on to Denver with Gary Kubiak, and things begin to happen. And then Mike Shanahan's son and Mike LaFleur, and everything just kind of grows, and trees grow, and limbs grow, and styles of play grow. So I don't know what a spread offense is. Does that mean they're in 4 wideouts, 3 wideouts? I'm not sure what all that means. I think that, what you're seeing more and more in the NFL is you're seeing the quarterback under center about 35 to 40% of the time, the gun a little over 50%. I mean, if you're looking at Sean McVay, you're going to be in 3 wides, a tight end and a back. If you look at other places, they might be more in 2 tight ends, 2 wides, and a back. And some teams are more stacks and bunches. Other teams are more spread out. Everybody's running motions and different kinds of movements to try to, create some communication issues on the defensive side. It's noisy. They got to make calls. They're signaling and so on and so forth. So the number one thing I look and changes offense is the coordinator and the line coach have to do one thing. They got to get the quarterback to be able to complete a throwing motion. And the whole science of the game of football is protecting the quarterback. That's the number one science. And that is, they have to be hip to hip, not only in how they're going to protect him, but they have to be hip to hip in how they're going to run the ball.
How about this? They just made a change. They fired legendary coach, or he walked out, legendary coach Jeff Stoutland. Now, they bring in this new young guy, and they bring in a new offensive coordinator. Mark, if you were coming into a place, because a lot of coordinators seemingly turned down the Eagle job at the time, and all of a sudden Stoutland leaves when he wasn't given run game coordinating responsibilities. They just wanted him to coach the O-line. Is that essential for you to have your style of offensive line coach? Because this is a big contention in Philadelphia right now. Why did he walk out of the building? Do you think the offensive coordinator went, hey, listen, if we're going to run the style you want to run, we need a run game guy that fits what my style of offense is going to look like. Not every offensive line coach is going to be in line with one another. Am I on pace here, or am I off?
Well,
pace?
I think that I'm not going to create a hypothetical on what Sean Mannion said. I think Jeff Stoutland is one of the top 2 or 3 line coaches. I look at him. I look at Bill Callahan, 2 of the best line coaches, in the game. So, Coach Stoutland, and I don't know him at all. Never met him. Just watch the tape and know that he's a great football coach. And having been in Philadelphia for over a decade, so or thereabouts. So, I mean, there could have been just a parting of the ways that the system coming in, wasn't a fit, and instead of trying to put a square peg in a round hole, so to speak, that Coach Stoutland decided to leave, and the Eagle brain trust decided that they were going to bring in somebody, and they brought in Coach Cooper from the Vikings, again, who's part of that Sean McVay style of run, style of pass. And no matter what, the offensive coordinator and play caller has to be hip to hip with the line coach. If they're not on the same page in how they're going to protect the quarterback and how they're going to run the football, it's a hard life for the coordinator. Because I've been in situations where I came in and was the mercenary and had to keep a staff. That's very, very difficult at times if there isn't this ability to mesh with the style of how they protect, number one, and how they're going to run the ball.
I think that's great insight. So, again, I'm not asking you to sit here and cast aspersions on what was said in that meeting. However, for you, though, for you to feel that you would be more successful, you would want to have a little say on the guy that was coming in, because that's exactly what happened in Philadelphia. What they did was, they brought in a guy. They're trying to get, as a matter of fact, there's even word this past year that after week 8, that Nick Sirianni ended up taking over along with Kevin Patullo more of the run game situation. And so this year, maybe they wanted to go in a different direction because, again, Mark, when you're going to hire a new coordinator, you got to get your type of coaches in there. Like you said, you don't want to inherit a staff. They've hired 5 new guys for a reason, right?
Right. So, coming in there and knowing, I've got a decorated offensive line coach and I don't know him at all. If I didn't even know him, and we can't speculate here,
Sure.
But nobody knows that Nick Sirianni didn't sit down with Sean Mannion and Coach Stoutland and say, how can we make this work? This is what we need. To come in as a young coach and mandate that we're going to get this decorated veteran who's got Super Bowl rings on his finger, and we want him out so we can bring in a guy who's really never coached the offensive line for more than 2 years. This is a tough league, and this is a very young staff. They've got Nick Sirianni there, who's got the experience and the background as a play call to kind of oversee it and watch it. This had to be a big part of this because, I was a 30-year-old coordinator in the NFL, and I didn't know that I didn't know. And you can say where they're from is great, and they're going to bring this offense, but that doesn't mean the science behind of what they know has been embedded and ingrained in their minds. So having Nick Sirianni there to kind of be the checks and balances, I think, is probably a reason why they went this way. They're bringing an offense in, but just bringing the playbook in doesn't mean you could go in each day and coach the science of the game, both protection-wise, quarterback-wise, progression drops, and read-wise. There's a lot going on, and you've been coaching for 2 years, and you've never stood in front of a team week in and week out, day in and day out, and had to install with precision and with competency the plays that are going in, because these players aren't foolish. They're going to look for 2 things. And the first is they want competency. They want a guy who can come in there and master their craft. And I got to believe Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni know what they're doing. I'm not going to try to judge that. They believe that these 3 guys, Grizzard and Mannion and Cooper, can come in here with Nick kind of I'm just speculating, with
Yeah,
Nick kind of overseeing it because of his competency as a head coach, play caller, decorated Super Bowl winning coach, that they can find a way to build some chemistry amidst the other side of it, which is very, very little experience.
How about this too, Mark? When you come in and you're looking to make these type of changes, and you're going from run first style to maybe trying to be a little bit more balanced, how much does the personnel then play when you come in and you're installing an offense there? I mean, when I look at, say, Sean McVay's offensive personnel, and I look at the Eagles personnel, that looks more like, and I use the word finesse with respect to the Sean McVay style of spreading the ball around. And I watch run first over here with the Eagles. It's more a dominant point of attack. It's trying to get the ball established in the run game. It's really not a high complex offense. A lot of slants, a lot of throwing to the numbers. For you, I mean, how much does personnel come in where you go, does the personnel fit what we're doing? Or is that your responsibility to fit the personnel to a boutique offense that you're trying to build?
Yeah, I think that, I've always, when I've talked to scouts, when I've talked to general managers, I always just wanted really good football players. I believe I should be expected to be flexible enough with the offense to be able to use good football players, smart football players, tough football players to build an offense around. So last time I heard, Saquon Barkley was the running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. Is he still the running back?
He's still the running back for the Philadelphia Eagles.
And so I know their run game probably wasn't as productive this year, but the bottom line is, when, as a coordinator, if it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, I put the, push tush aside. But if I've got a runner, I'm never wrong running Saquon Barkley on 3rd or 1 or 4th and 1. No matter what you say, you really can't be wrong. That's like, having money in your pocket, because you'll never be second guessed for running Saquon Barkley. But because you have him, your play action, your potential for explosive plays grows dramatically when you're in tighter formations, when you're in bunches, when you're in stacks, when you can unlock receivers with play action and movement. I mean, when it starts with, one of the best, arguably top 2-3 running backs, whatever he is in the National Football League, and you've got a receiver core like that, there's, in a tight end like that, there's really, I mean, I can't believe that they're not sitting in, offensive staff room and going, we can make this work. We've got the people and personnel and the quarterback and the leader to make this work. This is not as complex as it has to be, to me, with the level of players. When you've got a 1 and a 2 receiver, you've got a solid tight end, you've got a superstar running back, a quarterback who's won a Super Bowl, a great leader. I mean, there's a lot going. And like I said, I didn't watch every game of the Eagles. I don't know the inner workings of the Eagles, but I do have a lot of respect for the brain trust there.
How about this? So they had 50 under center plays. They were 3rd worst in the league. You're telling me in spread offenses that you would like to see the quarterback under center more. Would that be
I think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see the quarterback. I mean, I'm just speculating. I think you're going to see the quarterback under center 40% of the time, maybe 45.
That'll go up dramatically. That'll be one of the cosmetic differences that we'll see.
And that'll help. The running game's going to improve. The line, the protection will improve. I mean, that's going to soften up pass rushes. I mean, there's so much that can happen there when you can, and you see these teams are doing it. I mean, Stafford's doing it. Jordan Love's doing it. Goff is doing it. This is not unusual. Justin Herbert's doing it. Sam Darnold's doing it. I mean, that's what you're going to see. And this is extensions of Gary Kubiak too, and what Clint is doing. I mean, Gary Kubiak was under center. This is all a reflection of all that. And I think you will see that. That's what you speculate based on the people that they've hired. But I don't know how they're evaluating Jalen and how they feel that he fits into that. But because of the hires, I think they feel like I feel like they'll be doing that.
You know, Coach, there's a big conversation going on about the quarterback right now. And again, like you say, it's hard to fight the resume and what he's accomplished, but there's a lot of people saying inside the building